Most retirees with $2 million dollars or more make the same critical mistake. They spend like they're broke when the math says they're rich. This single error costs them hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost experiences and missed opportunities. The research spanning 150 years of market history proves you can spend way more than you might actually think. And today we'll be talking about how much. First, we'll be discussing why crossing the $2 million mark creates a psychological trap that keeps you from spending. Then, the 4 invisible financial traps that will cost you over time if you're not aware of them. Next, my strategic framework that transforms complexity into confidence. By the end, you'll understand why $2 million isn't the finish line, it's the start of an entirely different game with different rule sets. I'm Bob Wolfe, certified financial planner and IRS enrolled agent. Here's what most people don't realize about crossing the $2 million mark. You've just entered an exclusive club that only 4% of US households ever reach. You're no longer operating in normal financial territory. Yet in my practice, I see the same paradox repeatedly. The more wealth people accumulate, the more anxious they become about spending it. They hesitate before booking trips, helping family, or making home improvements, even when the math says that they can easily afford it. Let me start with a real example, with the names changed for privacy. Meet Sarah, age 67, with $2.2 million in retirement savings. At first she'd say, I know I should feel secure, but every purchase feels scary. I want to travel and help my kids, but I'm terrified of running out of money. Sound familiar? When I ran her numbers, I discovered that she could safely spend $95,000 annually. That's 40% more than she was actually spending. She was on track to leave over $4 million to her heirs. Money she never got to enjoy or see the benefits in her family and world around her. This is what researchers call the consumption gap. The difference between what your portfolio can safely support and what you actually spend. Let's look at some research by Michael Kitces, having analyzed 150 years of US market history, with every possible 30-year retirement period since the 1870s. Here's what he discovered. Retirees who withdrew 4% annually didn't just avoid running out of money. In 96% of scenarios, they finished retirement with more money than they started with. For a $2 million portfolio, a 4% withdrawal would be $80,000. Median ending portfolio balance after 30 years would be $4.2 million. Even worst case scenarios would lead to $1.8 million remaining. But here's what I see in practice. Most $2 million retirees withdraw closer towards 2.5%. Why? Because you spent decades practicing delayed gratification, squirreling away for the proverbial retirement winter. These qualities built your wealth, but in retirement, they can work against you. So the key insight here is that $2 million or above, you don't have a retirement problem. You have a wealth optimization challenge. And so now we'll talk about the 4 invisible traps that I see so we could get in front of them. The first one being the investment industry target. Once you cross $2 million, you become an accredited investor. And it's actually a target on your back, which sounds prestigious, but I recently reviewed a pitch one client received for a boutique hospitality investment. Luxury camping sites promising 12 to 15% returns. 2% upfront fee on a $1 million investment. 1.5% annual management fee regardless of performance. 3, a 7-year lockup. No access to your money even if it performed exactly as promised. They'd be better off in a diversified basket of index funds after all fees in the vast majority of cases. The solution? Before any exclusive opportunity, ask, what are the total fees? Can I access my money? How does this compare to low-cost alternatives? Trap number 2. The tax time bomb. This is where many retirees walk into a disaster without knowing it. The trap has 3 layers. Layer number 1, required minimum distributions. At 73, the government forces withdrawals from pre-tax accounts whether you need the money or not. The second layer here being the IRMA penalty. IRMA increases Medicare premiums when your income exceeds certain thresholds. Standard Medicare Part B costs about $180 annually, but with IRMA penalties, you could pay up to $630 monthly per person. That's an additional $6,000 annually per person or $12,000 per couple. The third layer is the tax rate window. Current tax rates are historically low. With record national debt, these tax rates may very well not last forever. So here's the advanced strategy that most people miss, and it's tax ordering and optimization. The IRS processes your income in a specific sequence: ordinary income first, then deductions, then capital gains. By understanding this ordering, you can strategically time income across multiple years. The third trap is sequence of returns risk. And when building wealth, a market correction would feel like a buying opportunity. In retirement, that same decline feels devastating. Here's why. A 20% decline on $500,000 is $100,000. The same decline on $2 million is $400,000. Same percentage, exponentially different impact, not to mention lost sleep at night when we're looking at the portfolio fluctuate with such high degree of variability in certain times in the markets. So let me show you two examples with identical 7% average returns. The first example has bad years first, which ends with $2.9 million. Good years first ends with $5.9 million. That's a $3 million difference based purely on timing. The solutions we might use combine two advanced concepts. Asset liability matching. Think of your pension, Social Security as bonds in your portfolio. If you have $50,000 in guaranteed income, that's equivalent to owning over $1 million in bonds. This changes your entire asset allocation. And the 7-year war chest. Instead of a basic 3-bucket approach, I create a buffer of years in safe assets, anywhere between 5 and 7 years, based off of our risk tolerance and how we feel around market turbulence. This war chest combined with regular rebalancing can allow us to actually be buying assets when they're on sale and selling assets when they're doing well. Trap number 4, legacy blind spots. At $2 million and above, your wealth may very well outlive your personal needs. But without planning, it can vanish within generations. The statistics: 70% of family wealth disappears by the second generation, 90% by the third. The problem isn't bad markets, it's that families don't discuss money until it's too late. Parents assume kids understand wealth building, but when inheritance time comes, children have no context or framework for preserving it. The solution involves 3 components. Family meetings focused on values, not just balances, on a regular basis. Gradual financial education for adult children, and charitable giving as part of family culture. So with all of this, I've developed what I call the wealth optimization framework, which is 4 pillars that transform complexity into confidence. The first pillar is lifestyle clarity. Start with what you actually want retirement to look like. This vision drives all calculations, not the other way around. And if we're not sure what those activities might look like, before we get to the point of us getting there, let's try to date the activities and things that we might want to do over time so that when we have that much more time on our hands, we can allow ourselves to enjoy it that much more, whatever activities we choose. Pillar number 2 has to do with dynamic spending. Instead of rigid withdrawal rates, use flexible guardrails. If markets perform well, give yourself a raise. If they decline, consider making temporary adjustments. This approach can increase lifetime spending by 20 to 30%. And pillar number 3, advanced tax integration. And this is where the alphabet soup behind my name creates unique value. We implement multi-year tax optimization strategies, whether it's withdrawals or conversions or tax gain harvesting, tax ordering optimization, so that we don't end up having to pay more on our capital gains than necessary. Asset location, putting the right investments in the right accounts for maximum tax efficiency. And if we're inclined, charitable giving coordination. Pillar number 4 is institutional level investment management. And it's something that the banks do, called asset liability matching, sequence risk protection, and low cost portfolio implementation. Your portfolio should work like an endowment fund. The sequence matters. Most advisors start with investments and work backward. I start with your life goals and work forward. A properly structured portfolio of $2 million can sustainably support anywhere between $80,000 and $120,000 annually, studies show, depending on your flexibility. But this isn't just about math, it's about meaning. You didn't spend decades building wealth to stare at account statements. So ask yourself, If you gave yourself permission to spend what the numbers support, what would that look like? That trip with family, the home improvements, helping your children. The research spanning 150 years proves you can afford it if you're managing your portfolio and finances properly. The only question is, will you give yourself permission? Peace of mind doesn't come from perfect portfolios. It comes from proven processes. Processes that tell you when to adjust, how much to spend, and why your plan works even when markets don't. You've done the hard part. You've saved for retirement. Now it's time to enjoy it strategically. At $2 million and above, you're playing with different rules. The 4 traps we discussed are real, but completely avoidable with the right framework. So here's what I want you to do. Number 1, calculate your current and future projected withdrawal rates. If it's under 3.5%, you're probably being too conservative. Next, consider what you do with permission to spend what the math supports. Remember, you've earned the right to live rich. If this opened your eyes to strategies you hadn't considered, let me know in the comments. What's your biggest concern about retirement spending? And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.